Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about a sequel to a classic. That classic having been 1968's Rosemary's Baby, that was directed by the great Roman Polanski. Now, while I don't want to do a full review on the original Rosemary's Baby, let me just tell you I consider it a perfect film. I consider it one of the greatest horror films of all time, if not the greatest, and it's a personal favorite. Does that give you an idea where I stand with my loyalty for Rosemary's Baby? Well, this is the first time only recently that I've caught up with the 1976 made for television sequel. Yeah, this was an ABC Friday night movie in 1976. It's called Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby. I like the title, but I'd always heard that it was horrendous. It was totally irredeemable, nothing good in it whatsoever, which is the reason why it took me nearly 50 years to get to it. But because I just screened the original recently for this Halloween season, I decided, why not? It was on YouTube. I could watch it just for free on YouTube, put it on my 55-inch TV screen, and there we have it. Okay, now, before I get started on the movie, the sequel, I want to tell you there was a kind of a more official story, you might say, that was written by Ira Levin, the same author who did the original novel of Rosemary's Baby. In 1997, he put a book out called Son of Rosemary. It's his official sequel. Now, as bad as I'm going to say this movie of the week is, from what I've read in the synopsis, and I have no intention of reading Ira Levin's sequel, his 1997 book, Son of Rosemary, may be worse because, get a load of this, surprise, everything that happened in Rosemary's Baby, the first story, is revealed in Ira Levin's sequel novel to be a dream. Just a dream. Never happened. So I have no need for Ira Levin's sequel. As far as this movie, I don't know where to start with it. Okay, it's directed by Sam Osteen, who is no Roman Polanski. Let me tell you, although Sam Osteen worked on editing for the original Rosemary's Baby, funnily enough. However, he does a terrible job. He has no sense of style, no sense of suspense or intrigue or anything that made the original so great. And the story itself is a mishmash, hodgepodge of garbage that doesn't make sense and is hard to follow. And of course, there are plot holes everywhere. So I'll start to talk about it to the best of my ability because it's really a mess. First of all, the sequel to Rosemary's Baby is almost as bad as Exorcist II: The Heretic. It's very close to as bad. It's hard to say which one is worse. But I'll tell you, the story takes place at first in the beginning part of the movie, about 8 years after Rosemary's Baby. At the end of Rosemary's Baby, the son of Satan was born. His name was Adrian. And now, when we start out with this sequel, apparently the cult is looking for Adrian, and Patty Duke now plays the Rosemary character, who's his mother, and she's taking over from the great Mia Farrow performance. And as good an actress as Patty Duke is, she can't replace Mia Farrow. And she basically has what amounts to a cameo here, and she only figures in the first, 15 minutes of the movie, maybe 20 minutes of the movie. She takes her son, who she calls Andrew instead of Adrian, and runs away to shield them from the coven that's coming after them and wants them for the ritual. Now, she's all over the place. She's taking little Andrew here and there. By the way, I want you, if you watch this movie, and God help you, take a drink. Just take a shot every time the name Andrew is mentioned, and also the name Adrian in this movie. Andrew! 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 Later on, Adrian! 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 Jeez, I mean, you would get drunk in freaking 5 minutes, and you'd hit the floor stone cold. Let me tell you, that's how much they say that. Now, this is probably around 1974, the first part of the movie, because Rosemary's Baby took place 8 years earlier in 1966. 8-year-old Andrew is being held by his mother. They're trying to escape the bad people. Eventually, Rosemary and her little son run across a prostitute played by none other than Tina Louise, Ginger from Gilligan's Island. and she turns out to be a cult member. And yeah, I'm spoiling stuff here, but believe me, you're better off just listening to my review and not watching the movie. Eventually, Tina Louise gets a hold of Andrew and leaves Patty Duke Rosemary in the dark, and she's out of the picture. She's out of the movie. So it was really a nothing. I'm surprised Patty Duke did it. They must have given her a decent paycheck for this. All right, and then all of a sudden we go ahead, and I'm not really sure, unless I missed something in the sequel, how many years ahead we go. All of a sudden, Adrian is now in his 20s, or is it 30? I don't know how many years have passed exactly. Are we in the 1980s all of a sudden, or even in the 90s, the early 90s? It's hard to be sure exactly how long. But one thing's for sure, in this movie we also have the character of Minnie and Roman Cassavet, being played by Ruth Gordon Minnie, who actually is the actress who was so superb in the original and who won a Best Supporting Actress Award. By the way, she's the only one who returns from the original cast. And where she was so good in the original, I realized that it wasn't so much her acting as much as it was the directing by Polanski and the writing, because the writing and directing are horrible here, and so is Ruth Gordon. I mean, she's her usual goofy, silly self, but she's got nothing to offer this thing. Okay? Now, the husband, who was originally played by Sidney Blackmer in the original, who plays Roman Cassavet, okay, he is now played by Ray Milland, who probably had to dry himself out for a weekend or something to make this from his usual drunken stupor, because at this time Ray Milland was appearing in all kinds of crap. Man with the X-ray eyes, The Thing with Two Heads, stuff like that. So he was doing any kind of crap. And I will say this, though. One of the few good things about this is that I can buy Ray Milland taking over the elder man, the role from the original that Sidney Blackmer did so well. I could buy him as Roman Cassavet. That's one of the few things I can say about it. Now, for some reason, they want to get a hold of the older Adrian, who's now an adult, and I don't understand why they wait so long. I mean, in the original movie, 1966 was declared by Roman Cassavet as year one. It's year one, and they wait like 25, 30 years, however long it is, to do this and get everything complete. There's somewhere there could be a good idea in this if they did it right and made more sense of it and fixed all the plot holes. But Adrian is played by Stephen McHattie, and all I could tell you is he's a very conflicted character, and nothing really is done with him. He's boring as hell, and he's supposed to be the spawn of Satan. Yet, I think if Satan was watching this, the devil would have to think of him as the ultimate example of a father's disappointment. I mean, it's really a bland character, and nothing really is done with him. There's a ridiculous sequence that starts out okay, where they finally get a hold of him, and there's a ritual performed on him. They want to see if he cuts the mustard as being a worthy vessel for the son of Satan after all these years. And it starts out kind of creepy, but then it devolves into complete idiocy and stupidity, as there's a ridiculous sequence in a discotheque where, after Ruth Gordon paints Adrian's face with white clownish makeup to make him look like a kind of meme, or mime, I should say. Mime, not meme. It's something else entirely. He's wearing this dumb makeup, and this mime Adrian goes in and does these crazy disco dance moves, and I don't know if he's possessing other disco dancers. I don't know what it is. It is a joke, okay? Now, a character also returns from the original, that being Guy Woodhouse, the husband of Rosemary. In the original film, for those of you who know, Guy was the person who arranged a deal with the cult members that he would get instant success as an actor if he gave over his wife Rosemary as the mother of the son of Satan. Well, John Cassavetes played that role so expertly in the original. Now, this role is taken on by George Maharis. And I got to say, if you're going to replace somebody that looks kind of like John Cassavetes, George Maharis looks the part. And one of the other things that I kind of liked about it, if I could find anything, just one or two scraps that were decent, was the idea of bringing him back, the character. Because I like that at this time, Guy Woodhouse is now a big time, real famous, well known actor. But I like how Minnie and Roman, the old people, keep on dragging him into this. He can't just live his life as a famous actor. He's forced to participate in these rituals and this stuff going on with the son and all this. And he participates unwillingly, but he does it because he knows what they could do to him if he doesn't. So he's kind of like locked into this thing. And he still has to be part of something that he tried to wash his hands of years ago, I guess. So that was an interesting touch, I thought. Now, you also have the very attractive Donna Mills in here, who plays a nurse of a mental hospital who comes across Adrian, and we find out that she's also, spoiler, she's a cult member in this mess, and she has to drug Adrian to have sex with her. Now, first of all, that's implausible right there. I mean, what man would have to be drugged in order to have sex with Donna Mills at that time, right? But anyway, the idea is that maybe Satan's going to get a grandchild here, because after all, it seems that Adrian is not really a fitting specimen, so we'll try again. Look, that's the most I could make out of this, okay? With the notes that I've had here and stuff. This thing is so bad and so lame, so all over the place. As I say, there could be a decent idea in this thing. The idea of having a conflicted son of the devil and eventually kind of turning into a real antichrist to reckon with would be a scary thing. This is nothing. And also so many plot holes, like, for example, the most obvious one being, how come the characters played by Ruth Gordon and Ray Milland, who were already 79 years old or 80, the late 70s in the last film, how could they be over 100 years old here and look basically the same? Well, I guess you got to figure maybe they made a pact with the devil, and because they're the chief cult leaders, they have special immortality or something. But there's a lot of things here that don't really fit. And this is a real mess of a movie, a muddled piece of garbage. But still, the things I did like about it was, as I said before, Ray Milland was a good choice. I could buy him if you're going to find anybody, because Sidney Blackmer, the original actor, was dead by the time they made this. I could accept Ray Milland in the part, not that he's got anything great to do. He's believable as that character. And also, I like the idea that the Guy Woodhouse husband is brought back amidst his acting career to have to get involved in this crazy stuff against his will, really. Those two things are like, they save it from being a complete bomb. So out of 4 stars, I give Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby 1 out of 4 stars. And the title also helped that 1 star, too. Good title. Terrible movie.